Georgia beats Florida yesterday. Final score 34-20. This was a very bizarre game. We'll talk about it right now, but first things first, make sure you are subscribed if you're a Georgia fan or if you're a Florida fan. Once you dialed in, we'll talk about both teams throughout the course of our time on this On3 YouTube platform, but make sure you're dialed in so you don't miss any of it. So going back to what I said, game felt very weird. Very, very weird. Georgia struggled a lot in this game, contrary to what that final score would indicate. Carson Beck throwing 3 interceptions. We'll talk about that a little bit later. DJ Lagway was cooking. We said early on in the week, if Florida wants to win this football game, DJ Lagway has got to have a Florida man kind of game. You know what I mean when I say Florida man, but if you don't, he would have to go crazy, have to have a wild headline kind of game for them to win. And y'all, he was having a game like that. They had Georgia on the ropes. Georgia's safeties are out of, sorts, and then DJ Lagway is hucking bombs downfield, and they're giving Georgia fits. And then DJ Lagway gets injured and leaves the game, and just the air left the building for the Florida fan base. And at that point in time, Georgia's struggling, remember, so the air is out of the building for that fan base as well. And they're talking about it on the broadcast. Herbstreit and Fowler are like, it's just quiet in here right now. Both sides are just kind of bummed. Georgia ends up separating, and Georgia eventually just did what Georgia does, and they lean on you and they end up beating you. But going back to the struggles, if you're Georgia, the Carson Beck interceptions, man, it is bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Threw 3 picks again yesterday. Y'all, last year, his first year as the guy at Georgia, had 0 multi-interception games. You've now seen multi-interceptions games from Carson Beck. And so I don't have the answers to that. Like, I couldn't tell you exactly why that's happening. I'm not in that quarterback room. Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback, has a really good video out on the Snaps YouTube channel, so go check that out. But his assessment was he just feels like Carson Beck is trying to press too much and trying to make something happen. I would say this too. I don't know that it's all the way squarely on Carson Beck for those interceptions. Now, ultimately, he has to make better decisions. That's 100% true. But I don't know if I just say, well, 15, that's 100% your fault. I think you've seen different points this year where guys are running the wrong routes. You see tip passes that should be caught. At the end of the day, there's a lot of blame to be passed around, but it does fall squarely on QB1's shoulders. That's the way this game works. Now, I think what we said about Georgia a moment ago, how they can just eventually, lean on you, push you around, and wear you out throughout the course of 4 quarters if you don't have something to answer them with, is how this game went. Once DJ Lagway left this football game for Florida, to me at least, regardless of what that scoreboard said, I was like, okay, well, Georgia's about to do what Georgia does here, right? Like, they're about to kind of, get in their bag a little bit, even with the turnover issues they had to that point. I don't know if this game is something you read a ton into if you're a Georgia fan. Like the Carson Beck interceptions, they're bad. The struggles early, that's bad defensively with DJ Lagway doing what he did. But, like, read into this game as much as you want to. I left this game feeling like Georgia, I still believe, is good enough to win a national title. Still good enough. Talent's there. I think the quarterback has proven he can play at the level to get you there. Hasn't done a lot this year, but he has shown it in the past. Got the head coach to get you there. He's got 2 national titles on his mantle at home. Like, he's got the chops to get you there. And the way Georgia recruits, again, they've got the talent to get there. Also, you've seen them put into practice the killer instinct to get there. I mean, the game against Texas, where they win by 2 scores on the road when Texas is number 1 in America. I think that shows that you can get you there. But what's going to separate Georgia from their potential and not winning the national championship is the internal temperature. And it sounds bizarre to say, but, like, I want to see Georgia go out there against a mediocre opponent and just go full-on Jason Kelce to a heckler's iPhone. Just absolutely smash them into the ground. I want to see that, because it's great that you can go out there and beat a number 1 ranked Texas team when everyone's against you and you're on the road and college game days there, but, like, I want to see you do that to a Florida team. I want to see you do that to Auburn in the first half. Mississippi State, like, where is this we don't care who's on the other side, we're Georgia and we're about to beat your face? And I haven't seen that so much this year. And not to say that it can't eventually get there, but, like, it does concern me a little bit that this Georgia team, for whatever reason, seems to need something to chase. So going back to what I said, to me, that's about where the temperature is set internally. And I think Kirby Smart is the best in the business at doing this. Make no mistake about it. But to the same exact token, a head coach and a staff can only do so much. I think it has to be locker room driven. And again, I'm not in the building. I don't pretend to know everything going on within Athens. But I do know that I saw this Georgia football team really come roaring back in the second half against Alabama behind Carson Beck, being dialed up internal temperature-wise all the way to the nth degree, yelling at teammates on the sideline, getting fired up. Like all these things I thought were a positive sign of how Georgia can look when that temperature is where it's supposed to be at. It's also worth noting now, when you go to the ultimate style of play conversation around Georgia, there isn't a Brock Bowers. There isn't a Ladd McConkey. So then who do you look to be the guy for you? I think it's Carson Beck. And maybe he feels the pressure of that. Maybe he is trying to do too much. Maybe this is the wrong thing to say out loud or talk about if you're a Georgia fan. But I do think that overall now, it's no longer a Carson Beck is within the system or Carson Beck is the supporting cast. Carson Beck is the reason why you win or lose football games right now. Make no mistake about it. Dylan Bell's a great talent. Dominic Lovett, great talent. Trevor Etienne is going to be a dog for you. Nate Frazier's proven he's going to be a dog for you. Like, they got a lot of pieces here, but ultimately, we are at the point now in Carson Beck's story at Georgia where they will go as he goes. And so it's frustrating to see him have these poor decisions he's made throughout different games. But just as much as it's frustrating, I think it's also encouraging that you have had poor decision spots by Carson Beck and your team has still won in definitive fashion against Texas and against Florida. So again, if it's an internal temperature thing, you got a head coach that can do it. I think Carson Beck has proven he can do it. It's all about trending in the right direction. This Georgia football team will have their work cut out for them to finish the year. You got Tennessee. You got Ole Miss at Ole Miss. We're going to learn a lot about them. But I do think that if they can set that internal dial into chase mode just all the time, hunt mode all the time, whether it's Ole Miss or whether it's the Yale Bulldogs, whoever it is, if they can have that temperature be consistent, they're going to be real good shape, and they're going to be a team that I think competes for and potentially wins a national championship because it's not about the roster, not about the pieces. It's about setting that overall approach level at where it's been in the past to go win national titles. But again, yesterday, as soon as DJ Lagway left the game, that was Georgia's football game, and they acted accordingly with how they ran the football and how they executed towards the end of that thing. So, with that being said, let me know how you feel about Georgia after that game yesterday and how you feel about them the rest of the way. Make sure you're locked in. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all.